All right. I'll hand this out. We'll discuss it a couple times. I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions. This is the New Year project for this book. This is gonna be your test grade for this book.
This is partners.
Yes. You'll be able to chance to discuss and start working on this with a partner in a little bit. But everybody is required to do their own work. You'll see. There's only one adjustment I have to make on here, but everything else is very specific. And
We need one more.
one more.
That's not the right page, yeah?
That's not the right one.
Wrong page. Begin with seven.
No, it's the wrong page.
Oh, we should work.
All right. So, all right, everybody, listen up. So, you don't have too many questions. I'm sure you'll have a couple. But if you listen up, you won't have many. All right. So yesterday we talked about mainly how to write a main news article with the inverted pyramid. I gave you the handouts, so you have those to help you. But so the project is going to require you and your partner both to write one main news article apiece. I'm not doing that part together. And then at the bottom where it says each person must write 2 creative articles, we're just going to do one each. So there'll be one main news article. We're going to work on that today, and tomorrow we'll work on the creative article. And Monday, I have the lab reserved. I said that earlier. Preserved. I have the lab reserved. Yeah, I know. I corrected myself. Do you prefer I use that word? Preserved. I've preserved the lab.
It sounds, makes sense though.
English.
I guess you can preserve a lab.
That's absurd.
Yes, you can.
All right, all right.
You should know this English teacher.
Exactly. You about to be a teacher soon.
And it's on.
All right, so pay attention. Listen up front. One main news article.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, we're going to work on that today. This article has to be fact-based from the book. And if you read at the top, and I talked about this yesterday, this is all from the second section. That's just 14 through 19. So, especially in 15 through 19, action happens in this book. Things actually happen that would, if you were a news writer in Eumothia or Abame, where the white men were killed, well, the white man was killed and then the villagers were killed. That would make the news. So those are things you can consider. But go through, I'm going to give you a minute to go through and just skim back through those chapters and mark a few places where you could.
So what is section 2?
Do what?
What is section 2?
This is newspapers based on section 2, which is chapters 14 through 19. But like I said, mainly the action takes place 15 through 19. 14 is kind of setting up some action.
So we each have to do one big.
Each have to do one.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a big article. It's 150 words minimum, but that's not a lot. What I'm looking for is good writing and format. Because 150 words is about the length of that article we read yesterday. That was this big.
Does
It's
the
not
title
big.
count as the word?
No, it does not. Someone asked that last class. Yeah.
But it won't count.
Yeah, Monday I'm reserving the lab.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that.
I'm conserving the lab Monday. Yeah, so today you should be able to get most of the main article written, and tomorrow we're going to work on a creative article, and that could be anything from like an editorial, which would be like a letter to the editor. That could be an opinion piece. When you're writing a report, like we said yesterday, reporters aren't supposed to insert their opinions if they're telling the news itself. But we'll talk more about the creative article tomorrow. One thing to pay attention to in this main news article, see the 150 words minimum, you're going to use the same format we were looking at yesterday, the inverted pyramid. But also, where it says must include at least one quote, now you're not going to find a bunch of character quotes in this book about any of these events from people within the village. Because when we're hearing about them in the book, these are people telling Okonkwo these things. So for a quote, you can make up a character or use a character, but make up a quote that kind of strengthens that story. Like we saw yesterday, a few quotes in the articles we looked at. So that part can be creative. The rest has to be based on, don't make up an event. It has to be something that happened in the book, and then write it in a news style article. So,
So you said we can make up all.
do what?
So you said we can make up.
Yeah, you can, as far as the quote goes, you can make that part up. You can be creative there. You can even make up the character's name, like so-and-so said this about this event. So take a few minutes right now, skim back through, I'd say 15 through 19, and write down maybe different things that you could write an article on, then I'll let you get with your partner. You don't want to be writing the same article. You guys have to pick one that you can discuss, like, hey, I'm going to write about this event, you can write about that event.